Well, hello, everyone. I hope everyone has had a great weekend. Boy, my weekend was really great. And thank you to everyone that made it great. Thanks, everybody. Today is Motivation Monday. And I'm really proud to say that our Motivational Mondays have been something wonderful. Something of reminders to help us get started for the week. I appreciate for the last 5 years being able to have Motivation Monday. It's all about reminding ourselves of who we are, what we are, and our purpose of standing on being better than we were the day before. So we're going to remind ourselves of who we are. And I think it's important for us to remember the people and the places that we've been, or more than likely the people that we are. I need to get that straight. If you're wondering about Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, we're streaming everywhere. And we want you guys to know that you're welcome to always call in. Our toll-free number is 1-888-721-9260. My co-host and I, we have just tested our phone lines. They're open, so anytime you come on or anytime you see our number, you can call in. That number is always available to you. We need to remind ourselves of kindness, kind words. Reminding ourselves of who we are and what we are. I think for me, the things that we've been trying to do for the last 5 years is being thankful for the things around us. Being thankful for the things around us. Let's talk about what things are around us. The other morning I walked outside and the birds flying and hearing them flap their wings. We're talking about the blackbirds. The beautiful sounds, the swishing of those sounds. Being ever thankful that if we can restore family relationships. That's if we can, because I'm along with so many other people who just won't tolerate the toxicity. We don't have to do that, and that is tolerating toxicity. And I want you to know that just in the recent, those of which we have had experiences with, some will come back into our life. Some will try to come back into our life. And for those of you that show you who they are, word of caution is if they have the same behavior, it doesn't get better. Can you all appreciate that? I want you to understand too that being thankful for the little things, the big things, they come and go, but the littlest things can make us feel grateful, self loving. Um, just a reminder for us this week as we face our challenges. And if you all are here, okay, I want you to think about there you go. So what are some other things in which we can, it's saying connection failed. Let's try that again. We are paused a moment, letting my co-host in. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
Yeah, about being thankful and things to tell ourselves or remind ourselves of. How about this one? Welcoming new beginnings with open arms. You new beginnings for me are things that help me start over. Because sometimes we just have to do just that, not pick off up where we left off. I've had to make some changes here in the last week, you know, like when a person, again, going back to when a person shows you who they are, believe them, and when they show me, I can make the change instead of waiting to guess because I just don't tolerate toxicity in or around my life. And if you lie, if you're messy, I tell myself every day that I'm better than the mess and the lying. So I will not tolerate that. Taking care of myself. I'm still working on that. How about you, Trish?
I'm still working on that as well, but sometimes to make myself feel better, I do at least do something that day, like doing my hair or just like doing something I like to do, listen to my favorite song. So that's what I do.
I love that. And for me, like if I want to take care of myself, I got a golden ticket. Guess where? To a yogurt place. I never stop and just get something that I really like for the day. So today I'm going to use the golden ticket. What does the golden ticket remind you of? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when Peter got the or Charlie, excuse me, got the golden ticket. We're talking about the old Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, my favorite movie. Um, or one of my favorite movies. How about the paths that you all are taking? Do you remind yourself of the things that you deserve? Going back to toxicity, I just can't have it in my life. And the moment that it shows itself, I now know because of Vibe Talk to know what it looks like. If it walks like toxicity, sounds like toxicity, and acts like toxicity, then perhaps it's toxicity. I immediately distance myself from that. And I like the changes that I've made. Has it been scary? Yes, because you don't ever know what that's going to look like. And you may really love the people or the environment that you had once been a part of. But you know what I think about? If that's been the norm for me and I cut that off, I'm looking forward to the brand new me. And I'm going to tell you all right now on this Motivational Monday that it may not be something that you really don't want to do because you'll miss it. Because I find myself, I will miss the person or that thing. And now, because of knowing and understanding myself and what I can tolerate and what I will not tolerate, did you see the difference of what you cannot tolerate and what you will not tolerate? And even if you forgive the person, because I've been asked that too, will you forgive me? I can always be forgiving. I can always do that. But in the midst of deserving something, because I too have need for forgiveness, I don't have to be close in that relationship, especially if it's something that someone knows about you and they use it against you, or they will try to manipulate the situation. I don't play those games. Why though? Because I'm getting to know who I am. I'm getting to understand my emotions. I'm getting to be able to regulate my emotions. And when we talk about regulating your emotions, I'm able to say that makes me unhappy. That makes me feel good. That is not something I want to be a part of. This, that, and the other. And I'm so proud of myself that I've done work, put in work. And I want those of you who are making changes to know that not all changes feel beautiful. But I guarantee you, once you learn yourself, you're going to be a new person. You're going to start changing. People are going to wonder what is really going on. And when they see you change, they might miss that old you, whether it's family, whether it's old acquaintance, whether it's the boss at work. You have every right to be treated well. You know, you don't have to be perfect, is another thing to tell yourself. The fact that you're trying is enough. Come a little closer. I said you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to tell yourself you're perfect or you're trying to get to the goal of perfection, because none of us are. But the fact that you're trying is enough. Did you know that half of the people that we even talk to, in that small percentage of the people that we talk to, there's probably 1% that really feel that they have no issues or no challenges to work on? Now think about that. Here you are, you're at Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast and Healing Center, and you're working on improving yourself, self-improvement. You're working on healing yourself. But now, the person that you are telling other than yourself that you're doing all this hard work, maybe they're not putting in the work at all because they see nothing wrong. Let that be okay for you because you cannot change them. And that's the part that I want you to tell yourself. You will know, trust me, when something is no longer serving a purpose for you or is no longer wellness for you or is no longer in the best interest of yourself, your mind, your body, and your inward part, the mirror of your soul. I love the thought that we can believe in ourselves. How many of you believe in yourself? What do you think about that, Trish?
Well, I think it's good to believe in yourself, and I believe in myself, and sometimes it's hard to when you have high expectations for yourself. But I'm trying to work on that because I am my worst critic. I judge myself a lot, and I'm working on just believing in myself and just believing, not just believing, but also taking that belief and just starting over, starting on that blank page. Like, just go ahead and write my new beginning. So
Love,
that's how I feel about that.
love that. And not setting the bar so high for ourselves. Remember, we do a lot of in shape talk. And what I mean by in shape is getting yourself in shape. And so when we set the bar high for ourselves, we can look at it like we're lifting weights. And the barbells that you have, and I use this illustration because most of you get this, okay? It's like you're preparing a goal setting. First, you might lift 20 pounds and then 30 pounds. And then you're going for a higher expectation of 40 pounds. And you say, okay, 40 pounds is challenged, but let me really challenge myself. So you're at the 50 pound, and how do you feel? Maybe that's too high of an expectation. So you wouldn't go to the 100 pound until you have achieved that 50-pound weight and lifting it with no problem or no challenges. Uh, at each level that you go through in life, we must challenge ourselves as if we were lifting or being uplifted. In the very beginning of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, I talked about layers. Layers of yourself, layers of you. It's like a cake. You start building the cake. You make the cake, and then you're going to put the layers of cream or icing or fondue or whatever you're going to use. And you think about the first layer and the second layer, and the more that you cover it, the more that you've hidden the cake. You are that cake, something beautiful, something that is going to be palatable as you start working on yourself. There are layers of you. And as I expressed to all of you guys that we do have an in-person center in my community, and it's not just exclusive to my community. That's why we have a 1-800 number that Trisha's already put up. I want you to understand that it's an outreach for you to be able to understand that there really are layers to yourselves. Get connected with that so that you can get to the root of yourself. Expectations. What are your expectations of yourself? What do you expect for yourself? I used to believe the way that some people treated me, that I was deserving of that. I was unlovable, unworthy. But now my expectations of myself is I love myself. So I expect if I love myself and I love others now, I expect for them to love me. And if I'm not getting that, perhaps they still need to know how to love themselves. Taking myself out of the focus and realizing that I'm not always the problem, nor am I always the equation, but I've learned something. As long as I expect from myself, I am the one to set up for myself how I want to be treated. How do you get that, Trish? How do you receive that?
I receive it in um if I want to be treated like fairly in a just way, then at first I have to treat myself that way because it is like a reflection of how I feel about me. And like something that I've read yesterday in church about how when you look into the mirror, you forget how you look as soon as you move from the mirror, and you're like, "Oh, did I fix my hair? Was that right?" It's like within you. It has to be within you as well. You have to remember that. Okay, well, I deserve to be loved. I want to be. I want to be treated well. I feel like I deserve to be heard, to do the things that I like to do, just like I feel like my friends deserve all of those things. Like I feel like everybody deserves that. And I should feel that way too, and it should reflect on how I treat myself. And that should be also be my expectations for me as well.
I love that. A lot of people, once you start making these beautiful changes, they're going to say, well, you're different. Wow, she's not the same. Wow, that was a different experience. Because, see, sometimes people expect from you for you to behave in a manner that you once were used to. And that's why it's so good for us to get out of our comfort zone. Are you a hard worker? Because hard work pays off. And every time someone comes into Vibe Talk, I have always, Trish has always said, it's working here. We are not a podcast that's going to tell you every little detail. We're going to help you along the way as you figure out the work that you put into yourself. How many of you have started a project, and as you start from the very beginning, the basic, maybe it's a wood project, maybe it's a car, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's a home project, and as you're starting, how many of you really set out with the goal to finish? And that's how we must be with ourselves, because once we start working on ourselves, you know what we start to see? Progress. Maybe there was a way we used to feel, and now that we have more understanding of ourselves and of others, we say, oh, okay, I see how that works. So I'm going to not be so hard on myself, but I will work hard with every good intention. Let me ask you, are you excited to work hard on yourself? Working hard on yourself, and that means for things you care about. And if you are, you have to ask yourself, what are the things that you care about, that you're willing to work hard for? People are willing to work hard for their children. People are willing to work hard for their pets. People are willing to work on uh, getting to different levels at their places of employment. But I'm going to ask you, how many people are really willing to work on themselves or work hard for themselves? And when you do work hard for yourself, do you always want to hear the bell ring from others? See, because you're working hard for yourself means that you're looking for those points of, I did this to challenge myself to finish it. There was a man who thought to himself, I need a place of comfort. I need a place to call my. Follow the story, if you will. And he began to plan. Planning first meant that he thought about it. Where would he like to build it? This place of comfort. How large? How small? What were going to be the continents of the place that he would build for himself? As he thought and as he. So one day, after carefully planning, he decided, in order for me to start, I already have the location. I must find the material. See if you will get this. So he went to the local hardware store to find the material. Now he needed advice as to what kind of material he was going to build, because it doesn't matter your material, your foundation of the building from which you will start building from. See if you get this. So off he goes as he gets the material. The next day he woke up earliest. Before the sun came out, he began to lay his materials and his tools out, because he was going to need the tools to be able to build such a project, either big or small. So as he began to build his place of comfort, he grew tired, because this was no one-day project. No, not at all. And so he would take a little rest and go back to the project, knowing how tired he was. And he would do this for a time each and every day. Until one day, he was able to enter into the comforts of what he had built, not realizing what he had built for himself was a beautiful place in which he could rest. As he stepped outside to realize the hard work of his hands, the place was just right for him. It was the house of comfort. You live in the comfort of your own house. And we're talking about your physical houses, your houses of emotion, your houses of vitality, your inner interiors, and your outer interior. Did you notice that in the story I never said what material he built with? But I'm going to ask you the question. What materials are you building with to better yourself? What materials are you providing for the comfort of yourself? If you're building with strong materials, you forgot to think about the kind of weather conditions you would have. Remember the man in the story, he thought and he thought so as to plan well. Where are your locations in your environment? Where do you set your places of comfort? You know, some people set it up on rocky roads, while other people set it up on moving sand. And there are still others who have solid rock. Which one are you? What have you built? You know, he was tired. But as each day progressed, he did a little more and a little more until one day he recognized his job was completed. And what he dreamed up was not just a mere dream, but it was something that he could actually see the work of his hands. Was he proud? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did you notice that there was no one else in that story but the people that were at the hardware place? And we never told you what they said. But whatever they said, that man was continuing to build upon his dream. Chris, what do you get out of that story? And all of those who are listening to, invite you.
What I get out of that story is to think about what you want, or if I'm talking about me, what I want for myself. And if I can actually see it, it's like reaching for it, it's like grasping for it. And it's like something that you really want to work on. So you start working for it, like getting the materials. I know where I want to start. That's the location. Like, I know where I want to start in my life. I know I have an idea of who I want to be. Basically, your goal is that location. And then you get the materials, the things that you need to reach that goal, whether it's determination, resilience, confidence, the things that you need within you. Yeah, the things that you need within you. And as you start to build within yourself, there are times that you'll be tired. And there are times where you're like, do I really want to do this? Is this really working for me? But that goal is still within you. You're still envisioning, you're still grasping that goal that you really want, and you work until you're where you want to be. So that's what I got from that story.
That's why I work with Trish. You're amazing. Because that's exactly the story. So when you think about your locations, where do you want to start from? You know, some of us want to work on addictions while others of us work on depression, and still others work on trauma or healing from trauma. Be whatever it is that you're working on, know the place that you want to start. Know what you need to do, what tools you're going to need. We talked about uh, tools, and tools are a very important part of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, because when we started earlier, we talked about tools, we talked about using them literally. We talked about hammer and nails, but then we turned it into what it looks for all of us. What the hammer may represent to you, what the nails are, what the saws are. We went through all of that, and you can see that on our YouTube page. We want you to remember that you will need tools. We oftentimes talk about the ability of the brain and the power of the brain. It's so awesome that the brain, although probably no bigger than a walnut, the literal brain and the functionality of the brain is the biggest thing to have today. It surpasses the latest Apple. It surpasses the latest AI. And yet the brain is no bigger than a walnut. Oh, yeah. Did I forget the hands that he used? Look at your hands and the power of your hands and what you can do with your hands. You can fix things. You can adapt to them. You can pick up. You can put down. You can change formation, change direction. Oh, yes. You need your feet to get started. It is amazing what we can tell ourselves if we want to. This Motivational Monday serves for me a day of purpose to not only believe in myself, but to accept myself. Does that mean that I accept myself without the hard work? No. It means that as I accept myself and I see clearly who myself is through the work of the build that I'm choosing. What is it that I want to work on? Maybe I want to work on more thankfulness. Maybe I want to work on being kind. Maybe I want to work on being more loving. Whatever the choice is, I have clarity for the purpose that I'm choosing. And that's why when we are working on ourselves, let's do it not for he, she, them, or they. Let's do it for ourselves. When a person says, I did it for me, that means they had full intentions to do it because it would improve something in their life. Remember in the story that the man dreamed of a home of comfort. He didn't always live in a house of comfort, but he not only dreamt it up, he planned it out. Let's do that, and let's put our best feet forward. That means that we must move an action to be kind to ourselves and feel like we deserve kindness, we deserve well treatment. Some of us have never felt people being kind. I'm going to tell you of a real experience. The other one was an illustration for you to get the point. Now I'm going to tell you a real life story. I was at the gas station just the other day, and we're moving into doing things with good intentions, never expecting anything back. We just do it because we are good-natured people. I'm at the gas station putting gas in my car, and someone drives up in the next thing and they say, "Hey, I you don't know me, but I know you." Just like that. So I'm thinking, what? He says, "I am your neighbor's brother. We've never officially met, but my brother has told me so much about you." My brother passed away on Wednesday. Man living right upstairs from me had some medical problems, and every time I would see him, I would always stop to help him because I could see him struggling. Didn't know what the health problems were, but I would help him. Was anybody watching? No, only Jehovah God himself. But you see, when we do things with intent, we don't have to say, well, who's going to notice, or toot our horns, so to speak, and tell everybody what we're doing. People will know. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, I've never met that man before, which was his baby brother who came, and I found out that my neighbor who lives upstairs from me passed away last Wednesday. Now, if that isn't something, wow, that's why you don't need to tell people that you're so great and wonderful. You just need to do what you do with good intentions. And let's be more like that. Let's be the person that thinks, if I deserve good things in life, let me be the promoter of the good things that I want for others. And I would see that man who was my neighbor living right upstairs from me, right over me. And I would see him struggling with those bags, and it would bother me because I knew he had medical problems. The last time I saw that man was when he was on a stretcher, and there were several ambulances here to help him. And I wished him wellness, and I hoped that he'd gotten better. You never, ever know. If no one sees you do something, God sees you do it. That's so important to me, to know that I had such good intentions for someone else, and for someone who had never met me, but yet I was being talked about in a good way. That's worth everything. That's priceless. I want you to think about how you can motivate yourself. We have a list that's up. I want you to take a good look at that list. We're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. We'll be right back. Facing the Lion podcast. Cause we're called Lights Off, Peace in the Lion Podcast. Go check your favorite streaming platforms.
Feel free to be interactive and tell us your story.
Like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music. Lights Off, Peace in the Lion Podcast. We're back with Trisha's Treasures. Trish?
This podcast has made me this particular topic just made me think about how we have lots of new beginnings, and it also made me think about how animals have new beginnings as well, like snakes. They shed their skin. It looks disgusting, but that's what they do to get their new skin. My dog, he's shedding. It annoys me because it gets on the carpet and we have to clean it up. But that's a part of life. Like, they're shedding, so they get because they're growing new fur. It's like hair. Some people trim the dry ends from their hair so they can let their hair grow, their whole hair be fresh. It's like a fresh full of hair. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is with new beginnings. And the thing is, the funny thing about hair, there's a lot of people that are attached to their hair. And sometimes I watch videos of people getting their hair cut and how people are attached to their hair and the stories they talk about with their journeys of growing their hair. And some people, they're grieving, and that's why they let their hair get that long. Like, they usually cut it, let it have a fresh trim, but because they were grieving, they let their hair like just grow just naturally and just lock because they weren't caring for themselves. And then I just wonder what made them decide to wake up and think, what am I supposed okay, what am I supposed to do about this now? Am I going to keep living like this? You know what? I'm going to the barber shop. I'm going to the salon. Like, I wonder what their process was, their thought process was, because they're so used to living in that in that emotion, in that grief or sadness or attachment to their lives. And that's why their hair was, some people, I'm not saying everyone, but according to those people that have said that, I was wondering, wow, okay, so what made them decide that new beginning? What motivated them to start over, to have that blank piece of paper and to begin again? And it just made me think about this podcast. And I wondered about my journey because I was so used to living in that mindset that I was for 11 years. I say 11 years because I was 17 when I first heard Vibe Talk. Yeah, guys, that long. I was 17, and I started my school term when I was 6, so I count 11. Okay, that's the math that I'm doing right now. So I say 17. That's when I thought about, you know what? I just graduated high school, so what's next? What's new? And the thing is, during that time, it was quarantine. So it gave me a lot of time to think about that because school was like my distraction. Like, education was my distraction from how my mental health actually was. So because I did that, I started, I'm just like the guy in this scenario. I'm tired of feeling this way. I want to be at peace in my mind. I don't want to overthink before I go to bed. And I'm up at night just thinking about, am I worth it? Um I hate myself. What's wrong with me? Why can't I make friends? Like, I want to get out of that. And so what I did, was I was looking. I was actually looking. I was looking for that location. Like, where do I start? Like, how do I start? I don't know how I'm supposed to begin this. I don't know. And so I saw Vibe Talk. You guys heard this story a lot, but this is a different perspective that I have on it because I never thought of it deeply like that from the hair situation to now. So now now I'm thinking about it like that. And it happens like that sometimes. Sometimes you find a new piece in your story where, oh, that makes sense. So that's where I am. And so when I started the journey, my self love journey, that's how I was. It was like, okay, my location is I need to love myself. That was my location. And so I thought, how do I start this? How do I begin this? And so what I did was, it's like, it's work to get out of that mindset because it's so normal. It's like a snake skin. Like, it's so used to that skin, so now it has to change like a turtle. It's tired of that shell. That shell is broken. It needs a new one. So that's how it is. So I went, I kept coming, and I learned different parts of myself. Part where, oh, that's not your fault. You need to forgive yourself. Stop self blaming. You need to it's okay to make space for yourself. You're not a terrible person. If someone calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning, says, I need to talk about the same problem they done talk about last week,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not your fault. If you're like, okay, I need to sleep. It's 3 o'clock. Like, I'm tired. You're not a bad friend. You are human. Your feelings matter. It took a lot for me to say that. Even now, like, a part of me feels a little, um, kind of, I'd say, like, scared because I have friends that listen to this podcast, but I needed to say that. It feels like breathing when I said that just now. It's a breath of fresh air because I said that just now.
You're up
Um,
at a place of comfort.
yeah.
Sorry,
So
I interrupted.
it's okay.
Sorry.
But yeah, um that's how I feel about that. And around that time it's like, oh, so I it's like, what's it called? It's like a new level of yourself that you're reaching. It's like, if you've seen Pokemon before, you know how they evolve, the Pokemons evolve. That's how it feels within you. First it's Pikachu, and then he grows into a bigger form of himself. It's like that. Or butterflies, like how we say here. Like, butterflies, they start as a caterpillar, then they go into their chrysalis, and then they come out a butterfly. That's how it was. It's like, okay, I'm used to that part of me, but now I'm seeing that, you know what? I needed to change. And so now it's time to embrace that change. And what's funny about change is when you see, it's like a white t-shirt. You know, the white t-shirt is just a white t-shirt, but all of a sudden, imagine someone poured a bucket of blue paint on it, and it's just, you're trying to talk to them, but it's irking your nerves. It's annoying you that the blue paint is on the white t-shirt. It's like, oh, that's how I used to be, and that's bothering me. I know that's not supposed to be who I am. I'm not supposed to doubt myself. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to hate myself to that extent that I was. It's like, that shirt was white and you just messed it up. That's how it felt like. And I need to embrace that change. So I'm encouraging you guys to think about how it's very important to change and embrace your new beginnings, and to wonder, what expectations should I have for myself? What things should I do to discover who I am? And how many, like I say in the intro of the healing center, in the video, like, I know you're wondering, how long will it take me to to begin again? And I say, I asked those same questions, and I did ask those questions, But the answer is within you. The answer is within that path in that journey of discovery. So I wish you all a great journey and path of your own discovery. Facing the Lion podcast. Facing the Lion podcast.
Wow, that was amazing. I'd love for you all to go and check out Trisha's treasures. You're going to get inspired as well as her music. The information is here. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. But when you get this podcast, please listen to it because it's going to help someone today. So when you see it, don't just say, I missed it. It's fully recorded for you. And I want you to take this podcast. The name of the podcast today, okay, is You Deserve to Tell Yourself Kinder Things. You deserve to tell yourself kinder things. That's a motivation for this Monday. And I want you guys to really chime in. Tell us what you're thinking. We used to have a rigid schedule that we would come on every morning. Because we have such a wide audience, we're not having to do that anymore. You all are finding us. Every so many months, I will have Trish and I go and look at the demographics of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. And it's all over the internet. And I'm so grateful for it. Now we have the Healing Center, and we are so happy for all of you that have welcomed us with open arms. We want you to know, just because it's in my community, that you can live anywhere and get on a virtual call for a virtual session. So it's not just limited to the community in which I live in, which is in Southern California. Anybody can get a session. We're so happy to announce that now we have signs that, let's say, for whatever reason we're not in the office, you can just by doing the QR code with your camera, find out about us. I really want to thank my amazing co-host, Trish. Thank you with all heart and all of my being. Thank you. Thank you for doing the work for yourself, as well as making our podcast what it is, of the sounds and how you put our playlist together. It's such a beautiful thing. And we're working on putting the playlist together. We've got up finally Friday, which is my favorite day. So you can go ahead and start listening to those. We just have a lot to still do, but we want to say thank you. And, Trish, you can go ahead and pick the song that you feel is fitting for today, if you'd like. Be kind to yourself and do it with full intent, not to please others, but for yourself, because when you don't expect, okay, from others, you will not get let down or disappointed. Okay? Just like with a man upstairs. How was I to know that I would run into his baby brother? What are the odds of that? And have never met a person and knowing that you did what you could do to help someone that was in need. But the impact that was left on the man, his brother that had died, he was impacted by us being good neighbors, as he was a good neighbor. And the person that is now his surviving family member was impacted that total strangers would help his brother. So believe me when I tell yourself, when you show kindness to others, you never know who you're impacting. Because some of us don't have stories like that where somebody has come back and told us that was really good that you did that. Because I was just looking, being a good neighbor. That's all. And I just am so thankful that I was able to help someone like that. And let's think about the changes that we have to make. That's the purpose of this. Even if we don't believe it the first time that we're good people or that you deserve to be loved, you will start shedding your skin. Trish, that was such a beautiful illustration about the snake shedding its skin. Because sometimes we look at that and we say, we're not changing or we don't want to change. But when we do, we're going to leave that old behind and we're going to accept the new people that we are, like we started talking about the toxicity, because that's no longer part of my life. When I see it, when I hear it, and when I look at it, I say, hey, that's toxic. And why do I say that? Because I deserve to be more kinder to myself. Thank you, everybody that has listened to this today, and keep telling yourself that you deserve to be kinder. Have a good day. Thanks, everybody. Because I don't want you just to make a resolution. I want you to think about. I was really about the moves it, then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. You really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. You can finally see a better you when you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it.